everyone, this is When Does Brahms Come In podcast. I'm Sofia, and today we're going to have a talk about Russian Soviet composer, pianist, and teacher Dmitry Shostakovich. He was a classic of the 20th century, a great maestro, and a brilliant artist who experienced the harsh times in which he lived and created. He was creatively emotional and humanly modest. So, Dmitry Dmitryevich. He was born in 1906. His father was an engineer and loved music very much, and his mother was a pianist. Little Shostakovich received the first piano lessons from her. At the age of 11, he began studying at a private music school. Teachers noted his performing talent, excellent memory, and perfect pitch. Dmitry made a categorical decision to write music, and at the age of 13, he became a student at the conservatory in St. Petersburg. The beginning of the 1920s was very difficult. His father suddenly died, and the composer's health became very weak. Shostakovich was greatly helped by the director of the conservatory, Alexander Glazunov, who awarded the young man an increased scholarship and organized his rehabilitation after an operation in Crimea. Shostakovich recalled that he even walked to conservatory because he didn't have the strength to get on the tram. In 1923, he graduated from the St. Petersburg Conservatory as a pianist and 2 years later as a composer. Dmitry had incredible efficiency and self-organization. He quickly worked on his pieces after graduating from the conservatory. He was very confident in music, but not in life. He didn't like to make hasty decisions, and there was one he regretted throughout his life. Shostakovich met Tatiana Glivenko at a sanatorium in Crimea. They were only 16 years old. At that time, he was working on his first symphony, and, by the way, it was dedicated to Tatiana. They had a close relationship for 10 years, and the girl expected Dmitry to propose. But Shostakovich didn't want to tie himself to marriage, realizing that by marrying her, he would not have complete freedom, without which he would become very depressed. Tatiana got tired of Dmitry's uncertainty and got married in 1929. He realized that he had lost the love of his life. He wrote to her asking to return, but unsuccessfully. 2 years later, he married himself, and after the death of his first wife, he got married 2 more times. But he loved Tatiana most of all, the one whom he lost due to indecision. The Second World War brought a lot of sadness and grief, but also new tragic inspiration. Shostakovich wanted to go to the front, but he wasn't allowed. His health was very poor. His family was taken from Leningrad, and they settled in Moscow. There, he continued his teaching career, which he had begun in his hometown. Shostakovich seemed to have foreseen the beginning of a complex historical event. Back in 1935, he began composing variations in the passacaglia genre. It is a genre of instrumental music that developed from the Spanish morning farewell song. The theme of this piece was quite simple. He put this work aside, but returned with the war, leading it to a solemn, victorious final. Shostakovich decided to use the previously started passacaglia in the symphony. The 7th symphony was completely composed at the end of 1941, and the composer himself said that he worked on it very quickly. It couldn't be otherwise. The premiere of the 7th Leningrad Symphony took place in the spring of 1942 in Samara. In the summer of the same year, it was performed in New York and was a success all over the world. But the hugest success was in Leningrad. It was grandiose, not just huge. The symphony sounded in every home, on the streets, broadcast on the radio through loudspeakers. This perfectly showed the strength of the Soviet people and the victorious spirit which was in them. But after the war, in 1948, a decree was issued in the USSR that seemed to define the black and white lists of composers. Shostakovich entered the blacklist of creators. He was declared a formalist, and his creativity was named Anti-People One. He was fired from the conservatory, deprived of his professor status, and his works were no longer published or performed. But the work of such a genius could not go unnoticed. Notwithstanding, in 1950 he was given the Stalin Prize for the cantata Song of the Forests, and in 1954 Shostakovich became People's Artist of the USSR. Dmitry Shostakovich began to gradually lose health. At one of the concerts his right arm began to seize up, and the final diagnosis was that his illness was incurable. The last years of his life were accompanied by Irina Sapinskaya, the composer's third wife. She was much younger than him, but she was always near and helped him. Even when Shostakovich struggled with every step, he still created music. In 1975, the genius passed away. Dmitry Shostakovich owns 15 symphonies, 15 string quartets, numerous scores for films and plays, operas, ballets, and much more. To compose works, Shostakovich didn't need an instrument. He sat down at a table and wrote down the music on paper in full orchestration. The composer had a unique ability to work and a unique pitch. Brahms will come to see us again, but for now, see you soon. This was When Does Brahms Come In podcast, and sincerely yours, Sofia.